When I bring up the Paragon, does your mind go to places like noble knights, righteous superheroes, selfless leaders, or enlightened rulers? Do you start listing all kinds of criticism of the archetype, saying stuff like, they can't be interesting, they must be perfect, or they're one-dimensional? This response is the reason why I say the Paragon hero, and heroism as a whole, is one of the most misunderstood things in modern storytelling. I, to note, was once guilty of this misunderstanding as well. It took me a great deal of time and research to finally understand what I wished to get at with regards to heroism and how to conquer writing characters of this nature as well. Luckily, it's actually not as difficult or dry as many might make it out to be. There's still, ultimately, a character. To show you what I mean, I've put together these 10 tips that can help you with any character you wish to portray as an admirable, likable inspiration. 1. Define their core values. Core values are the fundamental beliefs that guide a person's behavior and decision-making process. For a character like the Paragon, these values are especially crucial, as they often face situations that test their beliefs to the extreme. These values are also what become the character's themes, as the story will likely revolve around this. If you aren't exactly sure what your character's values are or how to define them, here's 4 ways to figure it out. 1. Reflect on their formative experiences. I'll elaborate more on this in a moment. 2. Assess their goals. Think about what your Paragon strives to achieve. Goals often reflect underlying values. For instance, a character driven to dismantle a corrupt system may value truth and integrity. 3. Examine their fears. A character's fears can reveal what they cherish most. A Paragon who fears societal collapse may highly value order and community. 4. Look at their relationships. How they interact with others can also highlight their values. But again, this is something we'll come back to in a bit. Regardless, if you need additional help identifying values, some example of core Paragon values can include things like justice, courage, compassion, integrity, loyalty, and wisdom. Of course, it's up to you to decide what you believe is valuable to treat as a core value. Writing involves sharing your perspective, but you don't have to figure it out all alone. You can turn to philosophical or religious texts, cultural studies, psychology, sociology, observations you've had, so on and so forth, and figuring out what you want to design as a character's core values. Now, having said all that, values by themselves aren't always enough for writing these characters well. Characters defined only by their core values run the risk of becoming cliches or stereotypes. For example, a hero who values justice and that's it could easily fall into the trope of the generic, infallible hero. This is what makes them flat. Furthermore, it can make it harder for audiences to connect with a character on a personal level. The reason why is because they won't see them as a character yet. They'd be more of an idea than a person. If we look at things through the lens of Freud's argument for the psyche, the core values appeal to the superego, the part of the psyche that acts as the moral compass, but it doesn't complete the package. That's what brings us to the next part. 2. Build their backstory. To humanize them, we need to dig deeper beyond the first layer to the second layer of character, their sociological layer. Explore the events and/or influences that shape their moral compass. Did they have a mentor, experience a pivotal event, or come from a background that instilled these values? Or are they the type who suffered a significant loss, which became a driving force behind their commitment to the cause? The decision is yours to make. I've already made a video on creating backstories if you do want to learn a bit more on that topic. Anyway, things aren't done once you do have an origin story. The character should exist beyond their heroism role after all. Which brings us to 3. Incorporate everyday struggles. These are another thing that help humanize the Paragon and make them more relatable to the audience. To note, when I say everyday struggles, I mean the common, often mundane challenges that all people face, such as managing personal relationships, handling working responsibilities, or dealing with daily inconveniences. Oh, and of course, there are all kinds of things with financial management. Even heroes need to pay bills. These create a common ground with the audience that makes them more believable. Also, they create a nice contrast with their larger-than-life aspects. Now, don't forget that everyday stuff exists beyond struggles. They can just have their own preferences and so on. For instance, what does the Paragon do to relax? Do they have any hobbies or interests in their downtime? How about personal quirks and habits? They are still people after all. There is a person separate from their heroic persona. They have taste in fashion, food, home, etc. that all have nothing to do with their heroic identity. Consider these where you can. They are human outside of heroism. Still, regardless of all that, the Paragon is a hero, which brings us to 4. Highlight their heroic moments. Don't just tell us someone is a hero. Show it. Include scenes that showcase their heroism in both grand and small ways. Whether it be saving the day or offering a simple act of kindness, these moments define them as Paragons. Now, heroism isn't always something that's cut and dry. Which brings us to my next point. 5. Balance their idealism with realism. Sometimes, you're going to need to confront harsh realities. You need to show how the character navigates the complexities of a world that doesn't always align with their ideals. This can include showing how they make tough decisions when no option is clearly right. To note, how dark things get is a matter of the story's tone. I've been working on a whole tonal spectrum. In fact, you can see a preview of it here, but the point still stands. Nothing is a monolith. There will be conflict inherent in anything. Also, I recommend not having a Paragon be naive. They should be aware of the world's darker aspects and still choose to act virtuously despite that knowledge. Or maybe because of it. It's when the Paragon is tested are they able to show their true character. While it won't always be easy, there are benefits to this behavior. It comes around to the fact that heroism inspires others to likewise be heroic. It's essentially being the thing you want to see. So, with that in mind, 6. Show their impact on others. Demonstrate how the character inspires others around them. Their actions and ideals should motivate allies, and even adversaries at times, to strive for betterment. Given the role they operate in, Paragons often make excellent mentor characters to others, guiding them in finding their own path to virtue and strength. It's all a matter of helping pull one another up instead of kicking ladders down. I'd argue that their relationship with other characters is essential for our understanding of them. And so, with that in mind, 7. Highlight their personal relationships. For a character like the Paragon, personal relationships are vital narrative tools for showcasing their human side, testing their values, and creating deeper connections with the audience. These relationships can be a source of strength, a point of vulnerability, or a combination of both. As for the types of relationships you can include, you can work with family, romances, friendships, and professional relationships. Each of these types are integral to defining who the Paragon is and why they make the choices they make. No man is an island. 8. Provide moments of vulnerability. The Paragon is defined by their heroic deeds above all else. They don't have to be perfect, however. They can have moments where they do ponder the consequences of their actions. They can sometimes face moments where they question their mission or methods. Self-doubt is alright. And yes, even they might sometimes need to seek advice or comfort from others. A Paragon doesn't need to be perfect or 24/7 stoic. In fact, there are a lot of misconceptions with the Paragon and perfection that I cleared up in a different video, which I'll link at the end. But before that, let's focus on what I have to say on them about not needing to be 24/7 stoic. That brings us to 9. Give them a sense of humor and lightheartedness. I've said this many times over and I'll say it many times more. Moments of humor and lightness are gold towards likability. First, this helps prevent the Paragon from seeming overly serious or distant, which helps soften things up. Second, it can help reveal other facets of the Paragon's personality that might not be visible through heroic deeds alone. Third, it can be used to strengthen bonds with teammates and allies. Humor bonds people far more than policing everybody does. Finally, in a narrative laced with high stakes and intense drama, humor can provide a necessary relief. For more on how to do these, I recommend the videos I've done on writing comedy so far, especially the character comedy entries. 10. Use symbolism and iconography. Who embodies high ideals and moral values, symbolism can be a powerful tool to deepen the audience's understanding and emotional connection to the character. Symbolism can reinforce the central themes within the visuals. They can forge a distinct identity for the Paragon, which becomes instantly recognizable and evokes everything the character stands for. And this, in turn, can trigger specific emotional responses in the audience and things when they see this iconography that encourages these heroic ideals. Now, I said, when it comes to flaws, Paragons do still have them. Nobody is perfect. But if you want to hear more about that, check out this video I made that goes much deeper into character flaws than just saying, just give them to your characters.